Hello, my name is Samantha Lynch Johnson, and I will be talking about transforming agri-food systems in St. Lucia. The small island state of St. Lucia in the Eastern Caribbean faces significant social and economic development challenges in their agri-food systems due to recurrent and intensifying climate-related shocks. Shocks such as hurricanes, flooding, zoonoses, and of course, rising temperatures. Non-globalized communities face extreme pressures linked to these external drivers in climate change. And for a middle-income country like St. Lucia, these recurrent shocks can mean the difference between progressing on development goals and falling into poverty. Let's set the context of St. Lucia. It's a small, mountainous, volcanic, and rugged island in the Eastern Caribbean of about 177,000 residents. It sits squarely in the hurricane belt. And what are the impacts of these kinds of recurrent shocks? Let's look at the drought of 2010-2011, which accounted for a 15% reduction in banana exports in the first semester of 2010, remembering that bananas are one of St. Lucia's major cash crops. In 2010, Hurricane Tomas resulted in the loss of about 40% GDP in St. Lucia. And then in 2013, severe flooding occurred and resulted in the losses of about 8% GDP when they had not yet recovered from the damage in Hurricane Tomas. So as you can see, sustainability and shoring up the agri-food system is of major import to the island. A resilient agri-food system means a stronger St. Lucia. These actions are aligned with the 2030 Development Agenda and contribute directly to the achievement of Sustainable Development Goal number 2, which is to end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. It also aligns with SDG number 13, which is to take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. Yet we must realize that all of these challenges are interconnected and indirectly affect all of the SDG goals. Securing a nation's agri-food system takes a collaborative effort among various stakeholders. And for a country like St. Lucia, the strength of the system is reflected in the strength of these partner relationships. Local farmers and fisherfolk learn about sustainable farming, they start seed banks, they adopt new methods and rely on regional meteorological services for early warning. National government develops policies and they implement policies, ensure that resources reach the most vulnerable, and they set the expectation for what a resilient food system should look like. Regional partners, as I've mentioned, monitor systems and they provide intra-regional support before, during, and after those recurrent shocks. And of course, international partners like the World Bank, USAID, and Canadian Development Bank fund agricultural and sustainable energy initiatives, which all serve to bolster and strengthen St. Lucia's agri-food system. Securing a nation's agri-food system requires the transfer of technology. And in St. Lucia, transfer of technology can run from the lowest of technology, like sharing seeds or peer teaching sustainable farming practices, to higher technology. We'll look at the role of 3 buckets of technology that really speak to the future development of securing St. Lucia's agri-food system. The first is advanced weather monitoring. Farmers in St. Lucia have relied on published almanacs and old broadcast reports to predict weather. In the works is development of an app that will allow farmers real-time meteorological access, which can help farmers in planning and creating resilient farming infrastructure that can withstand some of those repeated shocks. Second is renewable energy. St. Lucia is in the sunny Caribbean. It is a mountainous island with volcanic activity. Yet St. Lucia relies on imported fossil fuels, giving the island some of the highest energy costs in the world. Funding is being sought for geological exploration and for exploration of renewable energy sources. Lastly, smart infrastructure. Establishment of a center of excellence for solar technologies for farms and enterprises so that they can fund solar irrigation, water pumping that will reduce operation costs in greenhouse or hydroponic or aquaponic systems, and teaching farmers viable financial business sense so that they can lease, buy, or develop new products which would add value to their system. These technologies go hand in hand with stakeholder partnerships to promote enhanced resilience and build a stronger agri-food system in St. Lucia. How do they do it? By promoting sustainable agricultural practices in climate-resistant crops and livestock production, and encouraging the adoption of sustainable agri-waste management and watershed conservation, which mitigates the impact of natural disasters like flooding and landslides. St. Lucia also welcomes the support that in finance, in technology transfer, and in capacity building from a variety of sources, including public, private, bilateral, and multilateral regional partnerships, all in an effort to help the country build climate resilience and help that knowledge transfer. Finally, there is the improvement of infrastructure, like the formation of seed banks, agricultural storage and processing facilities, and extension offices with trained agricultural professionals to help support the transition subsistence farmers and households engaged in cottage agriculture so that they can become more profitable and strengthen the food system. On any initiative of this size and magnitude, there's bound to be tensions among stakeholders. Current areas of tensions are in prioritization and resource allocation. Current prioritization is for disaster preparedness and response, with a much more limited attention to sustainability initiatives and agri-resilience. Stakeholder consultations with local farmers indicate that there's a lack of education and institutional coordination on disaster risk reduction, and a lack of awareness on the roles that agencies can take on in educating farmers and enhancing agri-resilience. A second area of tension is in unclear authority. The Department for Environmental Management has an unclear mandate. Unclear mandates among governing agencies means that there are programs with amorphous outcomes and programs with impressive names such as climate change adaptation, yet no clear operationalization and no clear measurables. A third area of tension is in accountability and transparency. There's always difficulty in procuring and monitoring climate smart investments that are funded through international funding sources and in the private sector. In public-private sector partnerships and non-governmental NGO organizations, there can experience some variations in deliverables and timelines as it does not match up with either the government or does not match up with the local farmers. In this high-level overview of St. Lucia's agri-food systems, its resilience and its role in its social and economic development, we can see that the country is impacted by frequent climate-related shock, which exacerbates its development challenges. The instability in the agricultural system poses a risk, pushing a country like St. Lucia, which is classified as upper middle income, much lower on the global poverty index because they're dealing with frequent recurrent disasters. Addressing these challenges, of course, requires focused and inclusive initiatives that leverage technology, that leverage partnerships, that leverage interrelatedness, that forge a sustainable agricultural practice and minimize the adverse effects of natural disasters on climate change and on food production, and put many citizens at risk. The vulnerability of communities like St. Lucia to external drivers and climate shocks really highlights the need for financial, technical, and social partnerships, which strengthen the country, enhances their resilience, and ensures that the most vulnerable people can survive in the face of recurrent natural disasters. Thank you for listening, and I appreciate your feedback.